If you have no budget concerns and want the very best motherboard for the 7950X3D, the MSI MEG X670E ACE is the ideal choice even for the most demanding users. MSI has created a motherboard that can only be described with one word: overkill. And that's true even for the very best CPU of AMD currently, the Ryzen 9 7950X3D. Starting with the VRMs, the MEG X670E ACE has a 22+2+1 phase configuration that can handle anything you pair it with without breaking a sweat. The VRMs are completely covered up with large heat sinks that simply do not allow the VRMs to heat up. In fact, this goes all the way around the backside of the motherboard as well. There is also no area of the motherboard that isn't covered with a heatsink, and this not only makes the motherboard look premium, it protects everything underneath from heat and accidents. MSI claims that the MEG X670E ACE can support DDR5 RAM with speeds of 8,000 megatransfers per second or more, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually true. So in the future, as faster DDR5 RAM kits become cheaper and at the same time have low latency, this board will be ready before any other. One area where this motherboard shines like no other is expandability. There are 3 PCIe 5.0 slots for any add-in card. The top slot is x16, followed by a x8 and a x4 after that. There is an M2 expansion card included in the box of the motherboard that can be used to add 2 PCIe 4.0 M2 SSDs on top of the 1 PCIe 5.0 M2 slot and 3 PCIe 4.0 SSD slots on the motherboard. And if there weren't enough M2 slots, there are 6 SATA 3 ports for even more storage. This trend of abundance continues with the rear I/O, thanks to MSI, including support for a total of 21 USB ports. On the back, there are 8 USB Type-A and 3 USB Type-C ports. All of the Type-A and 1 Type-C ports are running at USB 3.2 Gen 2 speeds of 10 gigabits per second. This USB Type-C port also supports video over DisplayPort 1.4, while the other 2 Type-C ports are rated at USB 3.2 Gen 2 x 2 speeds of 20 gigabits per second. The front has 4 USB 2.0 Type-A, 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A, and 1 USB 3.2 Gen 2 x 2 Type-C ports. The rest of the rear I/O is still jam-packed with 3 buttons. One for flashing the BIOS, one for clearing the CMOS, and the third smart button that can be configured through the BIOS for any custom function. The rear also has a 10 gig Ethernet port, antennas for Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, as well as a complete audio jack array connected to the Realtek ALC 4082 codec and ESS ES9280AQ combo DAC. It is worth mentioning that this board can achieve all of this thanks to using the highest quality components on a thick 8-layered PCB. This is the only way that ensures that there will be no signal interference resulting in high clock speeds on the memory, excessive I/O, and clean audio. This is where I can see justifying the $700 to $800 asking price, because if MSI wants to achieve a no-compromises motherboard, it is going to cost a lot. The one point that disappointed me more than anything else is that this board does not have a USB 4 port or Thunderbolt support. It already has everything you could ask for, so skimping on Thunderbolt seems a bit odd. I guess only Asus and ASRock are going out of their way to try to add Thunderbolt support to their AMD motherboards, since it is technically Intel's technology. Still, if they can do it, MSI could have at least added a Thunderbolt add-in card support, especially considering that this is a top-of-the-line motherboard in literally every other regard at a high asking price. With all that said, there is no other motherboard like the MSI MEG X670E ACE. It is a very slightly cut-down version of the MSI X670E Godlike, but let's be honest, very few would spend $1,300 on a motherboard. All in all, those looking to invest in a no-compromises AM5 PC for a very long time will be far more equipped and ready for the future thanks to the MSI MEG X670E ACE's abundant PCIe 5.0, ultra-fast DDR5 support, and many more CPUs to come. To sum up, what I like is that it has the best VRM power delivery, excellent storage features, and stable RAM operations with support for much faster RAM in the future. On the downside, it is missing Thunderbolt support. Our rating for VRM design is 10 out of 10. Features, 9.5 out of 10. Aesthetics, 9.5 out of 10. Value for money, 6.5 out of 10, for an overall rating of 9 out of 10.